DreamWorks Animation is one of my favorite animation studios. They've made some of the most memorable animated films I've ever seen to this day. Despite how high their highs are, they also have terrible lows. When I heard a new Puss in Boots film would be released, I expected it to be a bland, colorful film to entertain children, embarrass teenagers, and probably annoy parents. So I was very surprised when the movie released. The audience and critics loved it, and they were all scoring it really highly. So I knew at that moment that I had to watch this movie for myself. And after watching it, I can guarantee to you that this movie is a modern classic on the same level as Shrek or How to Train Your Dragon. The film opens up with a well-animated sequence in a bar. Puss is a living legend without any fear of death. After a run-in with a giant, Puss comedically dies and is shocked to hear that he has died 8 times, meaning he's finally entered his last life. After an encounter with the literal incarnation of death, Puss goes through a sort of existential crisis. He gives up the identity of Puss in Boots and becomes a regular house cat. For a while, he lives a lazy, miserable life, until he's informed of a magical artifact at the center of the dark forest that can grant his wish to have more lives. Puss, of course, embarks on a quest to receive that wish. That's all I can say without getting into spoilers, and if I do get into spoilers, I will make sure to put a timestamp on the screen. First things first, the movie looks really good. It does something really interesting that you've probably seen in the trailers by now, where it switches between two frame rates. For more action heavy scenes, the frame rate is lower and a bit choppy, but it doesn't look bad. And then for most normal scenes, the movie isn't choppy, it's super fluid and smooth. I think both sort of styles have really good moments, and I think that they're both used to really good effect here. When the action when the camera becomes all choppy and the animation is less smooth, you know you're about to see something really cool, and I think it really adds to the action, where the fluidity of it in the more slow scenes really doesn't take you out of it at all. I just thought these two frame rates were a really cool stylistic decision, and I really enjoyed it. Everything else in the movie also looks gorgeous. As you can see, the color palette in this movie is really nice, especially in the Dark Forest. I'm not sure if this is a spoiler, but the Dark Forest changes with the occupants' minds, so it kind of changes to adapt to how the people in the Dark Forest see the world around them. So it kind of shows you their psyches, and that gave the animators some room to really show you these magnificent settings. The whole movie just looks super creative, and the textures are also super nice. Like the fur on all the animals looks really good. All of this boils down to the whole movie just looks wonderful. The characters, the setting, the motion, the texture, all of it. So, it's a comedy movie. Is it funny? For a kids animated movie, I'd say yeah. Not every single joke lands with a laugh. Some of them were actually not very good at all. But overall, I'd say it was pretty funny. I mean, not the most hilarious thing I've ever listened to, but this movie got me to laugh out loud once or twice, which is super rare because I very rarely laugh at movies. Something that I enjoyed about this movie is its overall tone. It's not mature to the point where it's not fun. It's super zany and cartoony, but it definitely goes to some slightly darker places at times. And I don't know, I really respected that. And I think it uses it not just for cheap shock value, but also for some emotional moments that I'll get into in spoiler territory. Now on to the greatest part of this movie, the story itself and its emotional weight. So there are a lot of really just overly sanitized children's movie. Even in DreamWorks catalog, we have a lot of them, like Trolls and, just all these really basic generic movies. But Puss in Boots is not overly sanitized. It is just so emotional, but also not too emotional to where it's just melodramatic. It just hits this really nice balance. The central conflict of the movie is just so well done, of this urban legend learning that he is going to pass away one day, and that existential crisis. Even though I haven't personally ever been an urban legend cat, I just feel like we all kind of feel that sometimes. So I don't know. I thought that message was really captivating. And I mean, all the side characters have their own little arcs that are all really nice and touching. So yeah, this movie just has a lot of really great parts. And now I'm getting into spoilers. I'll tell you when I get out of this territory. Three, two, one, you've been warned. So that scene when Puss is like scared out of his mind and he runs into the dark forest was just so like I don't know. It was so great. To all the people who've watched it, you know exactly what I'm talking about. The mixture of the sound design and the visuals and the like story to that point was just such. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was really nice. And also the final battle. Mwah. Beautiful. It was just such a triumph for animation in general. Just super beautiful looking, super. Mm. And we're exiting spoiler territory now. All the characters in this movie are super fun. The three main characters are all super likable, and they like bounce off of each other well. I'll be honest, this dog, I was not sure about this guy. He was just he gave that like vibe off that he was just gonna be a yet another annoying kids movie character. But I thought he was really great. I mean, he's pretty funny. He has some of the funniest scenes in the movie. He's never super annoying, and when he is, it's kind of intentional, but there are a few jokes that he makes that are just such misses relative to this movie. So yeah. But overall, I really like the dog. Of course, Puss is great. His conflict in the movie's great. I mean, it's just this movie's just super good all around, and the characters are no different. Uh, the Black Cat, super solid. I mean, I think that Puss needed somebody a bit more mature to bounce off of in the movie, and I think that it was just really good banter and solid chemistry between those two characters. I think that all three of the characters balance each other out really well. So yeah, overall, great characters. Now on to my negatives. Not every single joke landed, of course. No movie has jokes that land every single time, but there were just a handful of like really just mid jokes here and there, but not enough to really ruin the movie for me at all. Another, not really issue I had, but thing that was just a little bit weird was that some characters seemed like they were going to be much more important. Like the doctor near the beginning, who's also a barber, and the cat lady. Like they just seemed like they would be more important. But once they like leave the screen, they're just gone for the rest of the movie, which I just thought was a little bit weird. And I mean, this isn't really a negative, but of course, it didn't reinvent animated movies. It just was a really good execution of one. So, in conclusion, I am super excited for Shrek 5. Here in Puss in Boots, DreamWorks has put out a truly great film. Everything is well balanced, it's funny, it's emotional, it looks good, the characters are all well written and well done. This is just a major win for all fans of 3D animated movies. Go watch it. I give this movie an 8 out of 10. I'm pretty sure this score will increase over time, but sometimes you just watch a movie for the second time and it's really terrible. So yeah, I need to rewatch this movie and it might go up in score. So yeah, unless I gaslit myself, this movie's probably higher than an 8. But for now, I'm going to say 8. I really enjoyed it. Please go watch it. I'm excited for Shrek 5.